There are seasons when the air itself seems charged, when something unseen is shifting, when the heart feels a quiet stirring that says, pay attention. This is one of those moments. God is opening a door before you that no human hand could design, no system could control, and no enemy could shut. This is not about luck, chance, or timing as the world defines it. This is about divine intention. God is opening your wealth door, and the danger is not that it will not open, but that you might not recognize it when it does. Many people misunderstand wealth because they reduce it to numbers, possessions, or status. But God has always defined wealth differently. Wealth is provision aligned with purpose. Wealth is supply that matches assignment. Wealth is the ability to carry responsibility without collapse. God never releases increase randomly. When God opens a door of wealth, it is because there is a calling that requires it, a burden that needs backing, a future that demands preparation. What you are stepping into is not excess for ego, but abundance for impact. God does not bless to impress, God blesses to establish. There are doors that open quietly, not with noise or applause, but with opportunity disguised as responsibility. Many miss these doors because they are looking for sudden miracles while ignoring consistent obedience. God often opens the wealth door in seed form. It may look small, insignificant, even inconvenient, but heaven does not measure beginnings the way humans do. God measures direction, not size. When the door opens, it will test your discernment before it changes your condition. Those who are impatient will rush past it. Those who are fearful will hesitate until it closes. Those who are humble will recognize it and step through. You must understand this clearly. God does not open wealth doors to those who only desire comfort. God opens wealth doors to those who can be trusted with influence. Money is not neutral, it amplifies what is already inside. That is why preparation always comes before provision. The delays you resented were not denials, they were training grounds. The closed doors you cried over were protection. God was shaping your character so your future would not destroy you. Many people pray for increase, but few prepare for the weight of it. Wealth carries pressure, attention, expectation, and temptation. God will not release it until your foundation can hold it. There is a divine pattern that repeats throughout history. When God is about to elevate someone financially, God first exposes their relationship with trust. How do you handle little? How do you speak when unseen? How do you respond when unfairly treated? Wealth does not start in the bank, it starts in the heart. God watches how you steward time, integrity, and relationships before God ever releases resources. If you are faithful in unseen places, God will trust you in visible ones. If you are honest when it costs you, God will reward you when it matters. Some listening right now have felt a strange restlessness. What once satisfied you no longer does. What once felt secure now feels tight. That discomfort is not confusion, it is transition. God often disturbs comfort before releasing increase. Comfort keeps people stagnant. Pressure produces movement. When God is opening a wealth door, God will first break your attachment to limitation. Old mindsets must die before new realities can live. You cannot carry tomorrow's provision with yesterday's thinking. God is expanding your capacity, even if it feels uncomfortable. There are people who will not understand this season of your life. They will question your focus, your discipline, your refusal to settle. Let them talk. God did not call them to carry what you are about to carry. When God opens a wealth door, isolation often precedes acceleration, not because you are better, but because distraction is dangerous at this level. God will reduce noise so you can hear direction. God will thin the crowd so you can move faster. Do not confuse separation with rejection. Sometimes God removes voices so you can Finally, hear your own assignment clearly. You must be careful not to sabotage the door by fear. Fear often disguises itself as wisdom. It says, wait a little longer, when God is saying, move now. It says, you are not ready, when God has already prepared you. Faith is not reckless, but it is decisive. When the door opens, hesitation can be disobedience. God does not need you to understand everything. God needs you to trust completely. Clarity often comes after obedience, not before it. If you wait until you feel fully confident, you may miss the moment entirely. There are patterns God uses to confirm divine openings. Peace without explanation, alignment without manipulation. Provision appearing at the exact moment it is needed, not before, not after. When God opens the wealth door, you will notice that things begin to line up in ways you could not force. Conversations happen naturally. Opportunities present themselves unexpectedly. Resistance that once blocked you suddenly dissolves. This is not coincidence, this is orchestration. God is arranging circumstances to match your obedience. However, with every open door comes responsibility. Wealth is not a trophy, it is a tool. God expects movement, generosity, and stewardship. Hoarded blessing becomes poison blessing. When God increases you, God expects you to increase others. This does not mean reckless giving or unwise decisions. It means a heart that understands that nothing you hold truly belongs to you. You are a manager, not an owner. When you release with wisdom, God replenishes with abundance. When you cling with fear, flow stops. Some are struggling because they want the reward without the responsibility. They want the harvest without the planting, but God does not violate principles to satisfy impatience. The door opens to those who respect process. Every sacrifice you made in secret has been recorded. Every moment you chose integrity over shortcuts mattered. God is not unjust. God does not forget. What you sowed in tears will return in joy. What you invested in faith will return with increase. There is also a warning that must be spoken in love. When the wealth door opens, pride will knock immediately. The temptation will be to forget who brought you there. The danger is not wealth itself, but self-sufficiency. The moment you believe you no longer need God is the moment decline begins. Stay dependent, stay grateful, stay teachable. Wealth without humility becomes a trap. Wealth with humility becomes a channel of blessing that never dries up. You may ask, why me? The better question is, why not you? God chooses vessels based on willingness, not perfection. You were not chosen because you are flawless, but because you are available. God saw your endurance. God saw your tears. God saw your refusal to quit when quitting would have been understandable. This door is not a reward for talent. It is a response to faithfulness. Others had opportunities, but they lacked endurance. Others had potential, but they lacked obedience. You stayed when it was hard. You believed when it was dark. Now the door responds. Do not expect everyone to celebrate your elevation. Some will benefit from your increase but resent it privately. Others will distance themselves because your growth exposes their stagnation. Do not argue, explain, or apologize for what God is doing. Let your consistency speak. Let your integrity answer. Wealth will reveal hearts, including your own. Stay grounded, stay focused. Remember why the door opened in the first place. This season requires discernment more than enthusiasm. Not every opportunity is your door. Some doors look attractive but lead to distraction. The door God opens will align with your values, protect your peace, and stretch your capacity without compromising your conscience. Learn to say no quickly so you can say yes clearly. Wealth is as much about what you refuse as what you accept. Guard your time, guard your energy, guard your spirit. God opens doors, but you decide which ones you walk through. You may feel unqualified, but qualification is not the requirement. Obedience is. God equips those who move. Resources follow responsibility. Clarity follows commitment. Strength follows surrender. The door opens as you walk toward it, not while you analyze it endlessly. Step forward even if your voice shakes. Move even if your hands tremble. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is obedience in spite of it. There are generational implications attached to this door. What God is doing is bigger than you. Wealth in the hands of the faithful becomes legacy. It changes options, environments, and futures. It breaks cycles of lack and limitation. But legacy requires vision beyond the present. Do not consume everything in the moment. Build, plant, prepare, think long term. God opens wealth doors to those who think beyond themselves. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. Timing is not your enemy. It is your ally. Everything that happened before now was aligning you for this moment. Every delay refined you. Every setback repositioned you. Every closed door redirected you. Now you are standing before an opening that matches who you have become. Walk through it with humility. Walk through it with courage. Walk through it with wisdom. Stay alert. Doors do not always remain open indefinitely. Opportunity responds to readiness. Faith responds to action. God has done the opening, but the walking is yours. Do not shrink back now. Do not second guess what you prayed for. Do not retreat into comfort when destiny is calling. This is not the time to play small. This is not the time to hide. This is the moment to align fully with purpose, to move decisively, to trust deeply, and to remember always that the source of every good thing remains the same as the door continues to open wider, and the responsibility grows heavier, and the call becomes clearer, and the journey unfolds with each step taken. And forward in faith and obedience to God alone. There is a reason your spirit has been stirred rather than soothed. God does not awaken hunger without intention. When God is preparing to release increase, God first enlarges desire, not greed, but vision. You begin to see beyond survival into stewardship. You begin to sense that your life is meant to fund solutions, not just sustain routines. This awakening is holy. It is the sound of capacity stretching. Do not silence it with doubt or drown it with distractions. Honor it, feed it with discipline, guard it with prayerful focus. God is training your eyes to recognize opportunity without panic and responsibility without pride. Understand this truth. Wealth doors are not merely about receiving, they are about alignment. When alignment is right, provision flows naturally. When alignment is off, abundance becomes heavy. God aligns your motives before God aligns your means. That is why some are surrounded by opportunities but cannot access them. Their inner posture resists the very thing they request. But when your will bows to God's will, resistance breaks. Flow begins. The door opens not because you forced it, but because you matched it. There will be moments when obedience feels illogical. God's instructions often offend human reasoning because they operate on higher wisdom. You may be asked to release something you worked hard to build. You may be directed to move when security says stay. You may be led to invest when caught. Ion says conserve. Obedience at this level is not blind, it is anchored in trust. God never asks for surrender without already preparing supply. When God instructs you to step, the ground appears beneath your feet as you move. Pay attention to the refining of your speech in this season. Words shape doors. Complaints can lock what faith is meant to open. Gratitude sharpens discernment. Praise clears vision. Speak with intention. Speak with humility. Speak with expectation grounded in obedience. God listens not only to what you ask, but to how you speak when waiting. If you speak scarcity, you train your heart to fear increase. If you speak faith, you prepare your spirit to steward abundance. There is also a call to wisdom that must not be ignored. Wealth without wisdom creates noise but not impact. God grants insight to those who ask with humility. Learn, study, seek counsel that values integrity over applause. Do not rush decisions simply because the door is open. Walk through with understanding. Wealth doors open wide, but they require steady steps. Speed without direction leads to regret. Patience guided by wisdom leads to legacy. You will notice that as this door opens, your tolerance for compromise decreases. What once felt acceptable now feels heavy. This is not judgment, it is maturity. God is aligning your values with your future influence. Influence requires consistency. Wealth magnifies inconsistencies, but it also rewards integrity. Stay clean in your dealings. S. Stay clear in your intentions. Stay faithful in small commitments. God honors those who honor principles even when no one is watching. Do not be surprised if old patterns attempt to resurface as you move forward. Doubt may whisper that this is too good to last. Fear may remind you of past losses. Resist the urge to rehearse old failures. You are not who you were. Growth has occurred quietly, steadily, deeply. God does not measure you by your past mistakes, but by your present obedience. The door responds to who you are becoming, not who you once were. Remember also that wealth doors open inward before they open outward. God strengthens your inner world so your outer world does not overwhelm you. Learn to rest without guilt. Learn to work without striving. Learn to receive without shame. Some struggle not because they lack opportunity, but because they feel unworthy of it. Release that lie. Worthiness is not earned by perfection, it is affirmed by obedience. God opens doors because God is faithful, not because you are flawless. There will be moments of testing after the door opens. Success attracts pressure. Increase attracts opinions. Remain anchored. Return often to stillness. Listen more than you speak. Observe before you react. God's guidance does not end when provision begins. It intensifies. Stay close. Stay attentive. The same voice that opened the door will guide you through it. As you move forward, let generosity become your language. Generosity is not measured by a amount, but by willingness. Give with wisdom. Give with joy. Give with discernment. Wealth that circulates multiplies. Wealth that stagnates diminishes. God designed provision to flow through you, not stop at you. When you become a channel, supply continues. When you become a container, pressure builds. Do not underestimate the power of consistency. Doors remain open to those who show up with discipline. Excitement fades, but commitment sustains. Build routines that protect focus. Structure your days with intention. Honor time as much as money. God blesses order. Chaos drains energy meant for impact. A disciplined life becomes fertile ground for lasting increase. Finally, anchor your confidence in this unchanging truth. The source of your provision has not changed. Markets shift, systems fail, opinions fluctuate, but God remains constant. Your security is not in the door itself, but in the one who opened it. Walk forward with courage that is calm, faith that is steady, and humility that is deep. The door before you is real. The moment is now. Stay aligned, stay obedient, stay grateful, and keep moving forward as the path unfolds step by step under the guidance and provision of God alone. There is a sacred seriousness to this hour, a weight that rests on your spirit, not to intimidate you, but to steady you. God is not rushing you. God is positioning you. When wealth doors open, Haste can become a hidden enemy. Many have lost what they prayed for because they moved without reverence. This is the season to walk with awareness, to move with intention, to understand that every step carries consequence. God's pace is purposeful. When you move with God, nothing is wasted, not even waiting. You will discover that true increase begins to change how you see people. Wealth tests your compassion as much as it tests your discipline. God watches closely how you treat those who cannot repay you, how you speak to those with nothing to offer you, how you honor those who are unseen. Influence without compassion hardens the heart, but when compassion leads, influence heals. God opens wealth doors to those who can carry power without losing tenderness. Be mindful of how success can try to rename you. Titles may change, access may expand, attention may grow, but your identity must remain anchored. You are not what you possess. You are not what you produce. You are who God has called and shaped you to be. When identity is rooted in God, wealth becomes a servant. When identity is rooted in status, wealth becomes a master. Choose wisely, daily, quietly. There is also a call to courage that must rise within you. Not loud courage, not performative courage, but quiet resolve. The courage to make unpopular decisions. The courage to walk away from profit that compromises peace. The courage to stand alone when integrity demands it. God honors courage that is obedient, not reckless. Every door God opens will require you to choose conviction over convenience at some point. The choice determines how long the door remains open. Do not ignore the refinement of your inner dialogue. What you tell yourself in private shapes what you can handle in public. Speak truth to your own soul. Remind yourself of God's faithfulness. Reject the lie that says you must control everything to be safe. Control is often fear wearing confidence. Trust is strength, resting in God's sovereignty. When you trust, you can delegate. When you trust, you can release. When you trust, you can rest even while expanding. You may notice that as provision increases, silence becomes more valuable. Not every thought needs to be shared. Not every plan needs to be announced. Wisdom knows when to speak and when to build quietly. God often does the deepest work away from applause. Let your results speak in time. Let humility guard your momentum. Those who talk too much often listen too little. Stay teachable. Stay observant. There is a refining fire in responsibility that many underestimate. God does not give wealth to entertain you, but to train you. Pressure will reveal patterns. It will expose impatience, pride, or insecurity if left unchecked. Do not fear this exposure. Welcome it. Correction is not condemnation, it is care. God corrects what God intends to keep. Lean into instruction. Adjust quickly. Growth favors the humble. Remember that wealth is seasonal in its expression but eternal in its impact when aligned with purpose. What you build now can speak long after you are gone. Think beyond immediate reward. Think in terms of stability, sustainability, and service. God's vision stretches further than comfort. It reaches into communities, futures, and generations. When you align with that vision, your work gains meaning beyond measure. Guard your joy. Increase can bring stress if joy is neglected. Joy is strength, not luxury. Celebrate progress without arrogance. Acknowledge milestones without becoming distracted by them. Gratitude keeps joy alive. When joy fades, perspective narrows. Keep your heart light even as your responsibilities grow heavy. God delights in a grateful spirit. As the door continues to open, you will feel the pull between urgency and patience. Learn to hold both. Move when God says move. Pause when God says wait. Sensitivity to direction matters more than speed. The wealth door is not a finish line, it is an entry point. What follows requires endurance. Endurance is built through consistency, not excitement. Do not fear the unfamiliar. God often leads into territories that stretch your understanding. New levels require new skills, new thinking, new habits. Be willing to learn again. Pride resists learning. Humility accelerates it. God gives wisdom freely to those who ask without pretense. Ask often, listen carefully, stay anchored in this truth. As you continue forward, provision is not your source, God is. Opportunities are not your security, God is. Success is not your foundation, God is. When this order remains intact, nothing can truly shake you. The door may open wider. The responsibility may grow heavier. The journey may demand more of you than before, but strength will rise to meet each demand. As long as your dependence remains fixed on God, your obedience stays active, your heart remains open, and your steps continue forward in faith without retreat, without compromise, without fear, moving steadily into what has been prepared and released by God alone. This is the moment to stand with clarity in your spirit and firmness in your resolve. What God has begun is not fragile. It does not depend on applause, approval, or perfect conditions. It rests on purpose. The door opening before you is not temporary excitement. It is a divine transition. You are stepping out of survival thinking and into stewardship living. What once consumed your prayers will now require your wisdom. What once felt distant is now within reach, not to inflate you, but to position you. Let your heart remain anchored as your reach expands. Never allow increase to disconnect you from reverence. The same humility that carried you through lack must now carry you through abundance. Bow low even as you rise. Remember often the quiet seasons that shaped you, the hidden battles that strengthened you, the unseen faithfulness that sustained you. Gratitude will keep you aligned. Reverence will keep you protected. As you move forward, do so with calm authority. You do not need to announce what God is doing. You do not need to defend your obedience. Walk with quiet confidence. Let discipline guard your future. Let wisdom shape your decisions. Let generosity flow with discernment. Let integrity remain non-negotiable. These are the pillars that keep the door open long after excitement fades. Stay alert, stay humble, stay responsive. God's guidance will continue, step by step, instruction by instruction. Trust the process as much as you trust the promise. What is opening now will require consistency tomorrow. Remain faithful when it feels routine. Remain focused when distractions increase. Remain dependent when success tries to convince you otherwise. The door is open. The responsibility is real. The season has shifted. Walk forward with steady faith, disciplined action, and unwavering trust. What unfolds next will not be sustained by strength alone, but by obedience, wisdom, and continued alignment with the one who opens doors no one can shut and leads those who listen into provision, purpose, and lasting impact under the authority and guidance of God alone.